All right, guys, we're going to talk about what's called orthographic drawings here. Okay, and you can see the definition up top. An orthographic drawing shows 6 different views of an object: top, bottom, front, back, left, and right. So it's a way of representing a 3-dimensional figure, only drawing 2 dimensions at a time, so that we don't have to worry about the dashed lines and trying to turn it and make it so that we can see 3 dimensions. It's a whole lot easier if we can just draw 2 dimensions at a time. Okay, and this is what we're looking at, and this is going to help us with our project that we're going to do. So we see an example here. Okay, we've got the pyramid in the middle, 3-dimensional pyramid, and then what they're doing is they're telling us what that would look like from that direction. So this is one of those spatial awareness things where we got to be able to turn this figure. We got to turn this figure and say, all right, what does this look like from the backside? What does it look like underneath? What does it look like from the left or the right? So that's what we have to be able to do. So we see it there. If we look at a pyramid from the top, if you were to take a helicopter over the pyramids, what would you see? This is what you would see. We'd see the rectangular base, in this case, because it's a rectangular base, and you would see those lines on top. So any lines that we have, right, these are edges, any edges that we have, we're going to see that from the top, right? It's going to look like a cross over top of a rectangle if we look down on it. If we look from the front, right, if we get in line with that pyramid, perfectly in line, and we just look at it from the front, it's going to look like a triangle. And that's it. We're not going to see the sides, right? We're not going to see the sides. We're not going to see the back. We're not going to see the bottom, right? There's nothing on top to see, but we're only going to see that front side. So it's just going to look like a triangle. Same thing from the back. Back's going to look the exact same. Left and right, still a triangle. If I look at it just from this side, I'm just going to see that triangle. Now notice their drawing we have no idea whether this is straight up and down or whether it's shifted back and slanted. And we know it's slanted here. We don't just by looking at the right side. The right side is just a 2-dimensional. What would I see? I would see that triangle. Okay. From the bottom, if I were to lift that pyramid up, look under it, all I would see is a rectangle because I can't see through it, right? You can't see through the figure. So I'm not going to see those edges like I did on top. I'm just going to see that blank triangle or blank rectangle on the bottom. Okay. Orthographic drawings are great at giving us lots of different points of view at the same time. Now we can take those points of view, we can put them together to get a good idea of what that's going to look like. Okay, by looking at this right, we said we don't know if it's straight up and down, we don't know if it's slanted backwards or forwards or whatever. We just know that it looks like a triangle. Well, if I combine that with what I see from the top, I can see, all right, hey, here's that triangle that I'm seeing. It must be slanted towards the center. So we can kind of piece things together to get a good idea of what it looks like. Okay, it doesn't come easy to some people because it is that spatial awareness, and we have to, think about it in different ways. But one thing that we have to keep in mind, and we'll look at another example here, is we need to keep in mind what are we going to see, what are we not going to see from that point of view. Okay, so we're going to take these blocks, and if we were doing this in person, and I still had blocks at home, I think I gave them all away. I think we sold them. The girls' blocks. We could do it with Legos, I guess. But we would bring in these blocks, we would put them together, and we would practice drawing. We would practice drawing our 6 different points of view. Okay, so we see the figure that they have put together. Okay, we see it right there on the right side, different colors. We have to assume that there are no hidden cubes. They're not hiding something behind. So we can see all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cubes that exist here. So we're going to think, what's this going to look like in our different points of view? Okay, the easiest one is probably the front. Here's the front. What's it going to look like? Well, it's going to look like a box. It's going to look like Utah. It's going to look like a box with a thing up the side right here. All right, you got those 5 on that front face, and that's it. We're not going to have that 6th cube there because when I'm looking at it here, I'm going to call it purple. That purple one's behind this orange one. So I'm not going to see it. All right, so I'm only going to draw those 5. If I look at it from, let's say, the right side, okay, I'm looking at it from this side so that the green, the orange, and the purple are facing me. I'm going to see those three, but then what about over the green one? Above the green one, I'm going to be able to see over to this red one. So I'm going to have these three, and I'm going to have that red one back there. Let's see how they represented that when we go down here. Okay, you see the right side here. I got those three. This is that green, the orange, and the purple. And then behind the green, above the green and behind it is that red one. And you'll notice they do it slightly different here. They have a light line here and here, but they have a dark line here. That darkened line means that it's a change in depth. It's a change in depth. It's not on the same plane. We didn't see that on the front because everything was the same. It was flat here. Sometimes we'll do dashed lines there instead. Okay, those dashed lines tell us, hey, everything is the same plane. Nothing's closer or further away. It is all flat right there. We would have a dashed line here and here, a solid line here. That tells me, hey, something's going on here. That's either closer to us or further back from us. We don't know which, but we know there is some sort of change of dimensions there, change in depth. Okay, these three are all flat with each other. This one is different. If we think about the top, if I take that figure and I tilt it towards me, okay, here's my top. I've got three blocks that I can see. I got the red, I got green, and I got purple. I can see three blocks. All three are at different heights. So they're at different depths when I'm looking at them. So we have solid lines for both of those. At the bottom, I pick it up, it's flat, right? Purple, orange, purple. It is flat on the bottom. So there's no darkened lines in between, right? Those would be our dashed lines or our light lines, because that's one plane. Those are flat. Okay, you think about it from the back side, you turn it all the way around. Now we got that one, that purple one that's sticking out towards us. The others are all flat behind it. So you see this one has that darkened line telling us, hey, something's going on here. This is sticking out closer to us. Okay, so the more that we look at this, the more we get used to kind of what it is we're seeing. And unfortunately, we don't get to be able to practice in class here. If you're having trouble with it, we can bring out the Legos, we can practice it. We can do what we need to do, take away from our group time a little bit. But we're gonna have to do this as part of our project. And we'll talk a lot about it, but this is a big part of it, okay? And the old book, as you can see, this is the old book. The old book talked about it. We had a whole section about how do we represent three-dimensional figures. And this was a good part of it. But we don't have that in the new book or in this book. So that's why I'm teaching out of a book that you haven't really seen here, okay? So that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of orthographic drawings, okay? I'm going to show you a couple examples of orthographic drawings in the real world, okay? And the first one's not necessarily real world, but it was an example of a project somebody did. It was probably a college drafting course or a high school drafting course or something. But here's an example of orthographic drawing. Okay, they only have 4 sides here instead of the 6, but it's the same idea. Okay, if we take a look, okay, this is the top view. We got a couple side views, and we got like the front view here. Now, just looking at it, hopefully, maybe you can tell what it is. Okay, they get very specific in distances and they're labeling things here and here, a number of degrees. We're not doing that. We're not worried about that. That's why I'm saying this is probably either high school or beyond, where it's a drafting course where they have to be so exact as to, hey, this is 11.13 millimeters or whatever they're measuring by. We're not going to do that. But can you tell what that is? Okay, that's a pencil sharpener. That's a pencil sharpener, right? That's the pencil sharpener right there. Okay, it's not the exact same one, but it's pretty close, right? Pretty close. So that's the top view that they saw. This one over here, that's this view, right, with the hole. Like I said, it's not exactly the same. This one slants, that one didn't, but that would be that side, okay? And on the front, we'd see it here, okay? Okay, so very similar to what we see there, only this one slants. So pencil sharpener, right? Looking at those different things. So to draw that, we would actually look at the pencil sharpener and say, all right, here's the top. What do we see? What don't we see? Right? Here's the side. What do we see? What don't we see? Oh, we see that little screw sticking up off the top. Well, let's put that in there. Right? We got that little screw sticking out on the top. So we got to be specific about it. We're going to look at details like that. Okay. The other one that I'm going to show you is actual real life examples. And I know we talked about it. We laughed about it in the book because the book is terrible at this. This literally is a real world example. Okay. My brother's an architect. He's worked all over the world. He lived in Las Vegas for 8 years. He lived in China for 8 years. He's living in San Diego now. His specialty is designing hotels and casinos. Right now, his group or his company did the remodel on the Gun Lake Casino that's just down the road, right? So he's been all over the world doing all these things. This is what they do, okay? This is, I'm going to show you some orthographic drawings that they do. First of all, this is, how beautiful is that, right? This is one of the designs that he has created in the mountains in California for a hotel casino. Okay, this is not an actual picture. This is an artist rendering. It hasn't been built yet, but it's in the process of it. So we see that, right? Oh, we don't need to see the inside. But I'm just going to give you an idea of what this place looks like, and then we're going to look at how do we see that orthographically, and how do they do that? How does that help? What do they use it for? Right. So this is kind of that top artist rendering view. Okay, more of that three-dimensional picture type thing. Okay, one of the views from the side, another view from the side, right? So this is to give the client the idea of, hey, this is what it'll look like when you walk up to it, right? But this doesn't get down to the details. This doesn't get down to, all right, how tall is this going to be? Or where is this located in terms of in comparison to this, right? And that's where these come in. Orthographic drawings, okay? These are the four sides. This is left, right, front, back. Okay, left, right, front, back. I don't know which one is which, but we saw that big sign in one of those pictures that said Palma. It's Casino Palma, right? You see it there. And they have so much detail on here that they can show where everything's going to be located, how high it's going to be, what are you going to see, what's the elevation, right? They see all of that. If we zoom in into one of them, right, we can see what's sticking up on the roof. This isn't going to be up front. This is going to be further back, but we still see it, right? What do we see when we look from this side? Oh, here are the doors. We see that. Here's a railing. We see that, right? So it's whatever we see, we put in that orthographic drawing. I obviously don't expect you to have the same exact detail that my brother does, who's been doing this forever. But it's that idea of, hey, this is what we do. And here's your top view. Now, it's not exact top because this is more the layout of the casino floor. And it's not the roof and what's the roof going to look like, but it's inside. But it's a top view. We're not taking sides into account. We're not three-dimension. We're two-dimension. We're looking at it, right? We zoom in just because it's cool and we can see it. You probably haven't been to many casinos, but you got gaming area. I mean, they got everything in here. They got the dining spot, courtyard, kitchen and coolers and walk-in freezers and buffet service. I mean, they got everything in here. It's pretty amazing when you think that people are sitting down and creating this stuff, especially when you know the person. It's my brother, right? I've known him since he was, since I was born, I guess. But it's that orthographic. I asked him years ago. I emailed him. I said, hey, Bob, do you have anything? We're talking about orthographic drawings. Do you have anything you could show us? And he sent me this. And, it's awesome to be able to see, hey, this is exactly what we're talking about. Okay. I'm not going to get into exactly what we're doing with that in terms of our project because I'm still kind of keeping that project a secret here. But we will get into that as soon as we can. And you'll see how are we going to be using this orthographic stuff. What I'm going to ask you to do for homework, okay, is I want you to find two objects around your house. Okay, 2 objects around your house. Don't make them easy, simple. Don't make it a pencil. Okay, pencil's too easy. Find 2 objects around your house, and I want you to create your orthographic drawings. Okay, I want you to draw it from all 6 points of view. Let's say I was doing a pencil. Okay, let me give you an example if I was doing a pencil. And I don't want you to do that because it's too easy. But if I'm doing a pencil, right? Hey, here's my front view. Here's what I'm going to see. I'm going to see an eraser. I'm going to see that silver part. I'm going to see the pencil, right? Something like that. This one's broken off, so it's going to look like that. But you know what? I see edges on there too. I'm going to zoom in. Super close, right? Here's the front. I see edges in the middle. It's not a circle. It's not a rectangle. It's a hexagon or an octagon. Something. But I see edges in the middle. So I would have to have those edges on because I see a change in depth. I see that change in depth. I see those ridges. I got to put that on. Okay. If I'm looking from this side, the left side, what do I see? I see a circle. That's all I see. Right? That's all I see is a circle. That's it. I look from the front side or from this side. What do I see? I see a circle with another circle inside of it. Okay. And in fact, I don't see a circle coming this way. I actually see that hexagon. I can actually see that hexagon now. It's going to look like that with a little circle in it. So I'm going to be as exact as I can, as good as I can, right? You kind of see it. I know it's not really focused in on it, but you can see that hexagon and you got that circle in the middle. Okay, so I would do that. The other views would look very, very similar or exactly like this one, but that's what I would do. Okay, you're going to do that for two different objects at home. Okay, all 6 views. So we should have 12 views total of your drawings. You're going to take that, you're going to submit a picture of it, and we're going to talk about it as we go into our project. Okay, if you have questions, make sure you're asking. Other than that, enjoy your orthographic drawing experience.